Hi honey buns, it's me, the Courtney Williams. Welcome to another weekly mental check-in. I'm gonna give y'all a few moments to hop in and then we'll jump into this week's topic of how do you know if you are depressed? And as always, I'm gonna give y'all a little backstory of how this topic came to me this week and just what was happening this week. You know, like I love to use this as an opportunity to kind of update y'all on what's happening in my journey and how I'm feeling. And honestly, this morning I was thinking about it and I was like, yo, in the respect of like being kinder with myself, I am realizing that in regards to editing videos and things, I haven't been editing videos, and y'all know I have not been editing any videos. And this morning, like a little light had went off in my head. I was like, okay, this is tied to some other things. Hi Mari, hi love, good morning, well grand rising. I know it's evening for y'all, but just basically being a little kinder with myself because I know you know, it was a point in time where I loved to edit videos, and honestly, I'm not gonna say that I don't love editing videos now. It's just like I'm a bit burnt out and I don't have enough energy to do that right now. And I feel like I was kind of just feeling away within my spirit because, you know, when it comes to productivity, when it comes to, it's like society tells you gotta be doing this and that and X and Y and Z for you to be successful and for you to be productive. And then sometimes when you don't fall within that line of like what productivity looks like in the world or what you deem productivity to be, whether that is like keeping up the things that are on your to-do list or whatever, it's like you kind of feel bad for yourself, or I felt a little bit discouraged. And this morning I was like, yo, this is all connected of why I don't feel like doing these videos right now. And it's okay because this is still a part of my journey. You know what I mean? Like, this is, honestly, doing the lives for y'all have been something that has been working for me right now. Like, y'all know, with my consistency in 2019, even 2018, it was a little bit off. Like, I was dealing with some things and sometimes I would just drop everything. But even like now in the midst, I feel like this is a good piece of the puzzle right now, because even when I'm not feeling my best, I can still show up on a live for y'all on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is still a part of my journey. You know what I mean? Even if I'm not showing you like a visual depiction of like, this is where I went, this is what I did, this is who I met, this is what I ate. I mean, that doesn't discredit where I'm at now on a mental level. It's like right now, my journey is requesting that I go within. My journey is requesting that I heal. My journey is requesting that you know, I take some time to reflect. So I believe that this is also why I'm like having that transition from not doing edited videos or like planned content and really focusing more on lives, you know. And I felt a little bit emotional saying that, because it's like, you know, reassuring myself that it's okay, you know, it's okay, because I know sometimes I can definitely be a perfectionist, and I am learning to let go of perfectionism. I am learning to let go of control. I am learning to release what I'm expecting the outcome to be. So yes, for all this change and all this growth. And thank you everyone who is already in the chat. Thank you for being here. Honey, I got a little coffee. Oh, y'all, I already feel hella emotional. Pray for me. Hey, Memes, what's up? I got a little bread, got a little water. Guinness guy, she said I missed last week and I enjoyed it. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It's okay that you missed it. I didn't go live on Thursday like I intended to. I just kind of feel like Thursday is our day, right? Like your Thursday, my Friday, just because of the time difference. Technically, Thursday is my day, but sometimes I'm not holding myself to the Thursday. What I'm most holding myself to is once a week. So even if that means Sunday night or Monday night or whatever day that means, as long as it's once a week is what I'm holding myself to. So I know it's kind of like a little bit unexpected, so don't even worry. I did see your comment. I am gonna go after this live. I was honestly, I was intending to go before this live and answer all y'all's comments and things, but since I was laying in the bed, my spirit went to rest. Like I planned to wake up early and catch the sunrise. So let me just give y'all a little update right now. So basically, I'm in Laos right now. I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard of Laos. I've actually been to Laos quite a few times, so this isn't my first time in Laos, but the times that I've come to Laos, I have only come for visa runs. So Laos is like right on the border of Thailand, and I want to say also Cambodia, but don't quote me on that. However, I don't really know much about Laos because like I said, I've only done visa runs here, but I've come to Laos at least like 4 or 5 times. And basically, y'all remember I used to live in Ubon Ratchathani, which is a small town in Thailand. Basically, that little city is about an hour away from the border to get to Laos. Well, maybe about an hour and a half, give or take 2. So let us all breathe, okay? Yeah, so I used to go there and do all of my visa runs, and it was very interesting coming back because when I realized I needed to do a visa run this go around, it was mainly, I was thinking I was gonna go to Malaysia, y'all. I really was. I was like, okay, I've been wanting to go to Malaysia for a couple of months now, and I believe it's finally time. And I was processing. I sent a host on World Packers a request, and in the midst of that, Myanmar popped up. So I actually found a volunteer gig at this temple, or like, I want to say it's like a Buddhist type of temple in Myanmar, which I actually will do. However, when I looked into it a little bit more, I realized that Myanmar is on the way to India. And I do feel like I'm going to India this go round. However, I just felt like, like if I'm gonna go to India, I might as well make my way to Myanmar when I'm headed that way. So I wasn't ready to go there basically, but I feel like if and when I go to India, I'll hit Myanmar first and I'll stay at least a week. Cause sometimes it's like I like to give, I do. However, sometimes some environments don't necessarily work for me. And I was looking at this volunteer gig with this temple and I was feeling a little nervous. Like I was feeling like, on one end I was feeling like a pull, like, oh, this is like, almost like my spirit was like, yes, you need to go here. You need to be coming here. Like this is a place that you need to spend some time at. But then on the other end, I was a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know what to expect from this environment. Like, is it gonna be conducive for me? However, I told myself, I was like, look, you could at least do 7 days. So I'm gonna stay there at least 7 days when I head that way. So basically I was like, well, Myanmar could have been great, but not just yet. And then Lao popped up for me. One of my friends, I'm not alone at this moment, so I'm not gonna really tell y'all fully the thought process of why I came here, but It's deeper than just coming to Lao, and I have a connection here from a friend who I used to know when I was living in Ubon Ratchathani. So it was like, this actually could work. And then on top of that initial thought process, I was also just thinking, I did a search because my friend was like, look, I know some people in this city and that city and this place, but you also probably can connect with some people in this area. And so I was like, okay, cool, I'm down for that. And the first place that he told me that he knew some people in, I was like, okay, let me Google that place, and that's where I'm at now, which is Paxi. And it had this beautiful waterfall, so I was just like drawn to the waterfall. Like I need to cleanse in a waterfall, like not like literally cleanse my body, but like, you know, my spirit. You know, water is energy, and it has very healing properties. And I have been doing so much soul work, and things have been like an emotional roller coaster. And I've been in cities, you know, like from being in Bangkok to being in Korea, like it was heavy city vibes. And my spirit has been craving nature, like craving it, you know, like I've been having moments where I was thinking like, oh, I just want to throw this phone out the window. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, like I was just like, I just want to throw this phone out the window. I want to get rid of this fucking computer. I want to delete this YouTube and this motherfucking Instagram. I want to delete all this social media. I want to disconnect from the world. I want to be up in the woods somewhere, okay, with some good herbs and just chill, okay? Like that's the thoughts that have been popping in my head since February, since this deep, you know, since this deep tower moment took place. And then following that tower moment, we have retrograde. So as you can imagine, a lot has been happening. But shout out to the release, okay? Shout out to all the change that those spiritual energies triggered, okay? So I'm not upset about it. I don't feel any regret. I actually feel really grateful for the shifts that are happening. But I say all of that to say is that it's basically been pushing me more into nature. And so after seeing the waterfall, I was sold. I was like, oh yes, I'm going to Lao. Okay, like I'm going to Lao. I'm gonna be in nature and have a whole recharging, refreshing type of moment. And basically, normally I do my visa runs, like I'll go and then I will then I'll kind of like come back like same day, because honestly I love Thailand, I love Malaysia. Like if I'm in one of those places, or like even Vietnam, most of the time I won't even do my visa run for that long. But this one I specifically was like, okay, I'm gonna be gone for at least 3 weeks. So that's how long I'm actually staying in Laos. And I honestly was thinking that I was gonna stay in Paxi for 3 weeks. However, getting to Paxi, I think I'm saying it wrong. Getting to Paxi, I realized that this is a small town, and I don't really feel like it's conducive for me to stay here for 3 weeks, because I feel like I probably wouldn't go out. You know, like I might get a little bit in a depressed state. You know, like sometimes when you get depressed, you just kind of stay in the house and you don't really do shit. You know, and I feel like that's not necessarily what I want to be doing at this moment, you know. And it's not really, it doesn't seem like it's a lot to do in this town. It seems like it's a few things here and there. The place that I stayed at, I picked it because they have bicycles, and I like riding bicycles, and I like just being able to, you know, go around the town and see the locals, see what they're doing, and just, you know, like who doesn't love a good bike ride, you know. However, when I got here, on the way here and when I got here, so first when I got here, I was talking to, I don't know if he's the owner or if he just works here, one of the guys who was at the front desk, and he was telling me about the Lao Loop, which I didn't even know about. However, I did message somebody on Couchsurfer, and he basically stays at this farm up in Tat Lo. Tat Lo is a village that's about an hour and a half away from Paxi. And so he was like, oh yeah, you can come stay with me for like 2 or 3 days. So basically he has like a garden, really cute place. He seems really dope. I read all his reviews. Everybody seemed like they had like really good exchanges with him, and I want to say he's like a French guy or something, but he's been living in Laos for like the last maybe 3-4 years. Built a house, I guess, bought some land, you know, doing his thing. So I got here, and the first thing I realized was, one, I thought I was going to Tad Low immediately, but he was like, basically Tad Low is not, it's not as close as I thought it was, and I do need a motorbike to get there, which I'm very excited about because I haven't had a motorbike since I left Vietnam, and I love riding motorbikes. Like, I love riding motorbikes. Like, it's just a freedom about it. Plus, it just helps you explore in a way that you wouldn't be able to explore if you were at the mercy of someone else taking you around. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different when you have your own means of transportation to just explore in a different way, get lost, find some great things. You know what I mean? Stop, take photos if that's your thing. So I realized Tad Low is a little bit farther, and it's actually on part of the loop. So like, the loop takes about a good 4 days to do in total, and it basically has a bunch of waterfalls around. It has some temples. I'm not sure what else. Apparently some really amazing views, but we gonna see. And basically, the guy at the reception was telling me like some of the spots to stop in, and Tad Low is one of those places. So I've already spent one night here in the city that I'm in Paxi. I believe I'm saying it right. I already spent one night here, and I'm actually gonna spend one more night, and then tomorrow I'm gonna rent a motorbike and go up to Tad Low, and that is where the couch surfing host that I confirmed with stays. So I'm gonna send him a message today like, hey, actually I'm gonna come tomorrow, and I think I'm either gonna stay like 1 or 2 nights with him, and then I will continue around the loop and come back to Paxi. So when I was coming down, y'all, so many things happened. So I decided to take a train. I just kind of made a declaration, because you know, sometimes when you're used to living in survival mode, when it comes to money and when it comes to buying things, you may feel like, oh, I need to go around and go to every single place and find the cheapest rate. And I have been making a conscious decision to stop doing that shit, because at the end of the day, my energy is being used in that process in a way that isn't worth it, you know what I mean? So just making a declaration of like, okay, what do I want? And it was like, at first I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go check out the price at the bus station, and then I'm gonna check out the price at the train station, then I'm gonna make my decision. And I was like, no, that's not what we're doing, Courtney. That's not what we're doing. What do you really want to do? And I was like, I really want to take the train. Y'all know I love taking the train. It's super comfortable. The price is always inexpensive, and I must say, for anyone who is thinking about taking a train, I know a lot of times we're so used to the online access, and people are so used to, you know, being able to buy tickets and things online. However, with Thailand specifically, if you are wanting to take a train and you look online, there's like a third-party company that's online that's kind of selling tickets. So automatically, if it's a third-party company, you're paying more than you would normally pay. However, if you do happen to do a little further research and find the actual train station's website, because it is possible, I found it, online is still more expensive. Like buying your ticket online versus buying your ticket at the station is like a good three to 500 baht more. It depends on where you're going. So I went to the art studio. I did a gig there Wednesday, and then I just went to the train station because I just made a decision, like I'm not gonna run around and go to the bus station and the train station. Like, I really want to take a train. This is how much I'm willing to pay, but I feel like it's gonna be less than that, and I'm just gonna go and book my ticket. So I went. It was like 200 baht less than what I wanted to pay. Booked my ticket, got like a good evening train. Like, I want to say the train left at like 9:30. So I was just kind of like running some errands, picking up some things, went back, like washed, packed my stuff up, and then I left, right? And then I got on the train and I realized I left my freaking computer charger, y'all. I left my charger for my Mac, right? I was in a little frenzy at first, and I was like, I used the phone and like called the place, and I couldn't remember exactly where it was, and I was just like, I don't know where it is, but if y'all find it, just come bring it. I'll pay for your transportation. But they didn't find it in time, so I got on the train, and then I just kind of like regathered my energy, because I just was like, I feel like I feel my plan was to do some homework. Y'all know I'm doing my master's right now, and y'all know I've been talking over the last couple of weeks about just how I've kind of dropped everything. Like I had a proper shutdown in February, and I didn't do shit. I really didn't. I didn't do shit, okay? And even like in terms of this homework that I need to do, I dropped the ball on that as well. And I did end up messaging my professor like 5 weeks in, okay? I messaged my professor and my advisor, and I was like, hey, I ain't even lie, y'all. I just was very honest with them, and I just told them, I was like, look, these are the events that happened that triggered me. And it was a lot of things happening back to back to back, and this is my emotional state right now, and I would like to get back on track. So I'm finally reaching out, so please help me, let me know what I need to do. And they told me, she just kind of made some adjustments of like, okay, this is what we can do. And she was very understanding, and even my advisor was very understanding. But did I get any homework done? I mean, I got like one assignment done, but I didn't finish anything else. So I was really thinking in my spirit, I was like, yo, I'm gonna get to Lao, I'm gonna be in this nature, I'm gonna have me some herbs, and I'm gonna just bust out this homework, like I'm about to bust it out and move forward, recharge, and all this kind of stuff. So then when I realized that I left my charger for my computer, I was like, it was like at first I was kind of freaking out a little bit. So I'm not even gonna say I was freaking out. It was like, that moment where you're like, damn, I did not see my charger in my bag. And I know it's not in my other bag, so I think I left it. And so first thing I'm thinking, like, let me call this hostel and see if they see it or if I'm tripping. But I wasn't in a place to unpack my suitcase. And then after I got off the phone with them, I just kind of had like a little moment with myself, because I realized, or I'm learning, that worry gets you nowhere. And I am a true believer that nothing happens by accident. There is no coincidence. Like every single thing is happening for a reason. And so I just kind of like calmed myself down on the rest of the route to the train, and I just was like, look, at the end of the day, Spirit gonna work it out. What needs to happen is gonna happen. Something is going to pop up. Either I'm gonna find a computer lab to get this homework done, or I'm gonna find somebody who has, some other traveler who has a Mac computer, who has a charger, or the place that I'm staying at. Like a few options came up into my head, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna stress. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna allow the flow to happen. And then when I actually got here, like last night, because yesterday I got here and I kind of just slept. I guess I was tired from the journey, but I feel like I also was a little bit exhausted, like mentally and energetically wise too. So I just kind of slept. And when I finally did wake up, I just was thinking like, part of the process, because I was asking myself before I went to sleep, I was like, Spirit, why did you let me leave this charger? What is that about? What is it about this charger? What is the deeper meaning of why I forgot it? Because it wasn't no accident. Like, I know that was intentional. And part of me feels like Spirit is allowing me an opportunity to detach from the electronics and just kind of be present. And then once I actually went out, I went on a bike ride, and I went to get food last night. I found a lab. Like, I guess I didn't even ask the guy at the front desk if he had a computer. I didn't really even ask any of the travelers here. Like, I don't know. I've been kind of walking around here kind of in my own little shell. But at the same time, It's an interesting environment. I don't necessarily feel like it's that friendly amongst the other travelers here. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. But at the same time, I don't see anybody else that really looks like me. So it's interesting. But um, I guess with that, I didn't feel comfortable like asking anybody like, oh, do you have a Mac? Do you know, like girl, I just was in my spirit like, let me just rest, you know. And then I woke up and I just kind of took a bike ride around the city, grabbed some food, and on the way back, I saw a computer lab, and I was like, okay, perfect, thank you, Spirit. And I asked her, basically, the price is like 10,000 Lao Kep. I don't know what the currency exchange for that is as of now, but basically, it's like 10,000 Kep and 10,000 Kep per hour. And so I know I'm on a weekly budget, y'all. I've been very mindful about my financial literacy, right? So since this year started, I've been doing a lot of healing, and not just like relationship healing, not just like soul work and inner child healing, but I've also been realizing like the relationship that I have with money, and how I grew up in such lack and such survival mode, and like now at this place where, okay, it's time to heal that, it's time to shift that energy, and you know, remove any blockages that I have towards money. And I can't lie, y'all, like this is definitely a process, because even now, still going through my budget, I be feeling sad. I be feeling sad, y'all. I be having to like, I feel like after I do my budget, because I feel like when you're doing your budget, it's not something that you do once and then you just forget about it. Because it's like, you know, as you're spending, especially if you're spending on like unexpected things, you got to come back and revisit your budget and make sure you're on track and make adjustments and things so you don't go over your budget. But I feel like while I'm doing my budget, it's like a perfect time when I have to really try to transmute the energy, you know what I mean? And I say try because I feel like it's still a work in progress. I still be feeling like, damn, Spirit, how we about to make this work? But then just like reaffirming myself and popping with some affirmations and just realizing that everything is going to work out, period. Like, it's all working for my highest divine good. All the resources that I need are going to show up as they always do. So realizing that like that energy that I feel when I'm doing my budget and getting to a place where I feel a more high vibrational energy when I'm doing my budget. But basically, because of that, I know how much I am willing to spend at this computer lab. And also because of that, I believe that it gives me a little bit more focus, you know? So that might be the blessing in hindsight as well too. Because yeah, sometimes when you have access to your own computer, you know, sometimes you procrastinate a little bit more than usual. But like, if you have to go to a computer lab and you have to pay to go to this computer lab, you're gonna be more, or I feel at least like I'm gonna be more focused. So I was just kind of like riding around, and after I saw this computer lab, I was like, okay, thank you, Spirit, because this is probably gonna help me actually finish this homework and not push it off. So that's what we're doing today. And then when I got on the train, I met this guy, and he's from Switzerland. Yeah, is he from Switzerland? Yeah, he's from Switzerland. And so he was telling me about, basically he had just got to Bangkok, and he was telling me that what did he say? He was like, he's going to this place in Laos called the 4,000 Islands. Apparently it's like on the Mekong Delta, and the Mekong Delta also runs through Vietnam. And I actually went to the Mekong Delta. Like, if y'all go back a little bit in some of the videos, if you're newer here, there's some vlogs from me visiting. There's two, I believe. There's 2 vlogs from me visiting the Mekong Delta. It was great. So he basically was saying it's like a couple of islands that are on the Mekong Delta. When people come to different, it's like certain spots that are like, okay, this is a spot you want to check out type of place. And apparently he had like a friend who wanted to buy some land on one of these islands, but that didn't quite work out, and now he's like managing some bar or something like that. And I was like, oh, that actually might be dope. And we ended up kind of being together from the train up until we got to Laos, and then we kind of separated because I needed to exchange some money. Like, basically, I was like, oh, you don't have to wait for me. Just go ahead if you want. I need to do some, you know, like I need to do some things, and I wasn't about to rush because he was with me. So he ended up going on, and I didn't really reconnect with him. I thought we were gonna reconnect after the border and take a bus together to Laos, but it didn't work out that way, which was okay. But I feel like my encounter with him was for him to share about this particular island with me. So I'm gonna go there next. So basically, I'm gonna go up to Tet Lao, stay with my couch surfing host for a few days, and then make my way around the rest of the loop and come back to Paxi. And like, the loop can be done in like it could be done in like 3 to 4 days. So I'm gonna spend those days doing the loop and then come back down and maybe stay in Paxi for a few days and then go to the islands. And there's also a Buddhist temple that I'm gonna check out, but maybe on the way back before I come back across the border and then go to Ubon Ratchathani. So Tawi, my really great Thai friend who I met, I actually have been back to Ubon a couple of times to see her because she had a baby. She got married to this guy who's from New York, so she moved to New York with him. She's been gone for a couple of years, but she's coming back actually next week, but I won't see her until I get back. And even though I am not editing videos right now, I am still filming. So whenever spirit gets my energy together, those videos will come out. But I just want to let you know that I am filming. So I will also be filming that journey for me taking the motorbike around the loop. I mean, because I also filmed my motorbike journey through Vietnam, even though y'all haven't seen that yet either. But they're in the cloud, okay? They're in the cloud. So jumping into our actual topic today, jumping into our topic about how do you know if you're depressed. This basically popped into my head because I feel like I've been depressed and I didn't realize, right? And just kind of how this came full circle for me this week. I don't feel like my energy is really necessarily still back to its normal place. Like, I feel like this transition is still lingering in ways, you know what I mean? It's still lingering in ways. So it's like, literally, some days I'm feeling fine and then some days I'm not. And even, I feel like at this point, it's not feeling as overwhelming, you know what I mean? It's not feeling like, it's not feeling like so overwhelming that like I don't want to even do my meditation, or, you know, like I feel like I'm getting back into my routine of like doing my affirmations, doing my meditation, you know, hula hooping, things that like spiritually charge me, but like sadness still popping up, you know what I mean? And popping up in different ways that I'm not really, or like, I feel like when I left Vietnam, a lot of ways that I would realize that I was sad was popping up, so I was like just taking notice. But this time around, it's like other things are popping up that I was like, I didn't realize that I did that while I was sad or while I was feeling depressed. Like, that's something new, you know, or something that I'm just now realizing. And so I can't even put that into words. It's been very interesting, to watch, like just kind of, to watch from myself, inside of myself. Like it's just been interesting to take note and dig deeper into it. Like, okay, why are you doing that? Or what is happening? Or, you know, are you okay? Or, just asking myself all these questions. And basically on one particular day this week, I feel like on that day I was trying to uplift myself, it was like I was feeling sad. I feel like I don't even necessarily want to say I was feeling sad, because I didn't really acknowledge myself as being sad in that moment, but I knew something wasn't right with my energy, if that makes sense. Like I just was feeling like off. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get out and get some fresh air. I'm gonna take a walk, because I love taking walks too. Like I just feel like taking walks really helps me clear my mind, and at the same time I feel like I always find like dope stuff. Like when I can explore either on a motorbike, on a bicycle, or actually doing a walk, um, I just feel like I just always stumble on little great things, or like stuff that I didn't realize. So I just was like, okay, there's this grocery store that's not too far. Well, it's like a station down, but it's walkable basically. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk to this place, and then on the way back, I might take the train. But when I actually went there, I went there really with the intention of like getting some things sewn, finding a shoemaker, because I have some shoes with me that actually are on the brink of breaking. But I'm in Asia and they don't have size 11s. Like it's hard to find a size 11. They do have Payless, which I did go check out before I left, but they didn't have anything that really worked for me, even though they had my size. But basically, I say all that to say, coming by size 11s is like not easy. So it would be better and more conducive to get your shoes fixed if you can, if they are fixable. And these are fixable. It's just like one little side that just need a little glue, So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get some popcorn, have a little moment. And then I saw this really, like, y'all know I love jewelry, so that's kind of like my treat for myself. Like I always will buy myself jewelry. So I bought some really cute earrings, had a little moment, was feeling a little, it was like my energy was coming up a little bit, but it still wasn't quite there. And then I got a smoothie, and I was thinking I was gonna take the train back, but then I was like, you know what, nah, I'm gonna walk back. And I have this book called The Kabbalion, and it's a little bit about alchemy and conquering your mind, because I believe that part of this spiritual journey is learning how to combine your emotions and your thoughts into one, because sometimes our emotions be all over the place, and sometimes thought-wise we be telling ourselves stuff that just is not in alignment with the life that we desire, and in alignment with, the things that we want to manifest in our life. And you can't manifest what you don't feel like you deserve, or what you're unworthy, or what you feel like you're unworthy of. So it does take effort in that sense to pull your thoughts together and pull your emotions together. I feel like it is one of the most difficult tasks to master, but once you master it, I feel like a lot of things open up. And I feel like personally I'm still in this process of mastering my emotions, mastering my thoughts, and pulling it all full circle. I feel like I'm getting closer, but I feel like it's coming. So there's this book that came to me I feel like I've been having this book in my audio books for a good while. Like, ooh, how long? It's been in my audiobooks for a while. Like it's one of those books that I feel like doesn't necessarily come to you by accident. It only comes to you when you're ready to receive it. And it's one of those books that I've kind of been going back and forth to. So I haven't fully finished it at any point, but I have listened to like some of the beginning chapters at different points, and kind of like, okay, first 2 chapters, and then took a step back and thought about it. And then at different points, it's like this book comes to me at different points. Like I feel like Spirit wants me to read this book fully and fully digest it and fully understand. I feel like it's going to unlock a lot of things in terms of mastering my emotions and my thoughts. It's just that this is not a book that you can force upon yourself. Basically, it's not a book that you can force upon yourself. It's like when you will read what your spirit is ready to read, basically. So on the way back, that book popped up into my head. I want to say I was reading it a little bit earlier that morning. That's what it was. That's what it was. I woke up, I worked the overnight shift, and I was feeling really great, y'all. I really was. I was feeling really great that morning, and then basically the next person came into the shift, and it was like 500 baht missing from the drawer, and I knew that there was no guests and there was only a few things that were paid for, and I knew I didn't take 500 baht. So I was just like, okay, I don't know where this money went, but this is what happened on my shift. And so when the owner came in, her energy was just very heavy. Like, she was very angry. Like, she was like low-key, she had threw this it was a little money bag or something. She had walked by the desk and she like threw it in the drawer. Like, I was just feeling her energy, if that makes sense. And then it was like, you know, we have another employee who works, I thought he's been there longer than me. I thought he was like a proper front desk employee, but apparently he's just a part-time employee who only does like an arts and craft type of activity, which all of this I didn't realize. But basically we have like employee meals and stuff, and they're a different price than the regular prices. And so he had like 2 employee meals, and he just put the money behind the desk. So when I was telling them, okay, look, this is what happened on my shift, she kind of got a little upset that I let him go behind the desk. And she was like, who is he? And I was like, he's an employee. She was like, but what kind of, I was like, he's a part-time employee here. Shit, I thought it was okay. And she got kind of upset with me because she felt like, you know, he is not that type of employee that should have access to the back of the desk, even though I have seen him having access to the back of the desk before. That's why I thought it was okay. And she was just like, she was just angry. She was angry. Like, I feel like there was something deeper that was happening that day for her that wasn't really addressed, but it was kind of like she was directing all of that energy toward, you know, I had just got off work, so I was like, okay, I'm about to go to sleep. But when she came and all that energy, I was like, well, at least let me wait until they figure out where the money is before I just leave, you know what I mean? So after they did their own due diligence, because I basically told them, look at the camera, because I don't know what happened prior to my shift. All I know is this XYZ happened on my shift, and yeah, you may be upset about me letting JJ come behind the desk, which, I mean, I didn't realize that he couldn't. You know, I've seen him do it before. I didn't realize that he couldn't, but the camera is there. Check the camera. I'm willing to wait for you to see what's what. And then after they checked the camera, they realized like what I said happened is what happened. And then she realized that she had took the 500 baht like a couple of days before, but she hadn't actually written it down in the book. And so the girl beforehand who had did the calculations, she didn't actually count the money. She only had did the calculations for the book, if that makes sense. So then she came back counting the money, and she's like, where the five, you know, like. So I feel like what it was that I was in high spirits, but then I got some of that energy, like, you know, energy transfers to people. This is why you have to be very careful about who you're around and how people are projecting on you, because it did feel like she was angry that morning. She kind of took it out, tried to take it out on me. And then when I think I felt a little bothered too, because when she realized that she actually had taken the 500 baht a couple of days ago and didn't do her due diligence to write it in the book, she didn't really say, I'm sorry for the way that I came at you. You know, it was just kind of like, oh, well, we found the money. And I was like, you know, like what? You know, and I didn't go off or anything like that. I just felt like there's something else deeper that's here, and then I ended up going to sleep. But I do remember waking up and still having that energy on me, if that makes sense. Like like I probably should have grounded my energy after, but I didn't think. I was just so tired. I was like, okay, let me just go to sleep, and then I woke up and I still had that energy on me, if that makes sense. So that's what really was happening that day with the fluctuation of my energy. And before she had even came in, I was listening to the Kabbalion. And then I took this walk because I was like, let me just go out and get some fresh air. Took this walk and came back. And on the way back, I was listening to the Kabbalion again. And I just was, there's like 7 characteristics of the Kabbalion that are meant to be mastered. So it's like mastering the mind, understanding the power of correspondence, the power of rhythm, the power of gender. I'm trying to remember them all. It's like 7. I can't. They're all not coming to me at this moment. But I basically was on the way back. My headphones went out, so I was like, okay, whatever. And remember, I was telling y'all it's a temple that's like right on the corner that has popped up for me on multiple occasions since I've been back in Thailand. So it's very interesting that I was staying down the street from it this go round. And literally, I'm not Hindu, right? But this particular Hindu god, his name is Ganesha. He is depicted as an elephant. He's been popping up all over the place for me. Like, I feel like low-key he's been calling me to connect with him. But part of me didn't feel like, on one hand, I wasn't aware fully of how to connect with him, even though I have some friends who do connect with him, and they did send me some videos, but I didn't watch them. I feel like part of me was like, I don't really know how to connect with you, and then the other part of me felt a little bit nervous, and then the other part of me felt like I just didn't want to compromise my own spirituality. Like I just felt like it just didn't feel, putting in spiritual effort to connect with him didn't necessarily feel like what my spirit wanted to do, if that makes sense. And I didn't feel like it would be wise to force it. You know what I mean? Like I truly believe in following what my spirit is feeling led to do. So it's like, even though my friends had sent me some videos to watch and things, it just wasn't feeling like it just wasn't feeling like that was the way that my spirit wanted to connect with him. And so what I would do sometimes would be just literally to sit outside the temple. Like it's an open air type of temple, so it has no walls, but on the outside of like their little mini fence border, they have like some stool type chairs, or like some benches. And so a few times I would just go sit out, you know, like sit outside the temple and just kind of like watch the activity of like how people were connecting with him, and how just the movement that was happening within this temple, which was really I mean, it's interesting to watch, you know. It was interesting for me to watch, at least. So on that particular day, and I must add that Ganesha is actually in the Hindu religion, he is believed to be the remover of obstacles. So when people are having issues or having trouble, they will normally go to him and ask for clarity, and ask for, you know, for him to remove the blockages, or remove, you know, what is happening, so that he can, you know, so that they can move forward in the way that they desire. And then he is often always depicted with a snake. It's a snake that is normally around him. I'm not sure what the snake represents yet, but it's like a couple of weeks ago I realized I recognized the snake. I was like, oh, I didn't know you was there at first, but I see you. And this time around, basically he's also often depicted with a mouse, okay? And a lot of times what people will do who practice Hindu religion and who recognize him or speak to him, they will you know, give praise and things to him, give their petitions to him, but then they will also give it to the mouse, because the mouse, they think of the mouse as like his messenger or like his assistant who reminds him of the different desires of the people. So a lot of times I would notice that like they would do their petition, they would do their ritual to him, and then they would go to the mouse and they'd give the mouse some type of offering, and then they whisper in the mouse's ear to tell the mouse, like, basically remind Ganesha that I need help with this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? So it's just very interesting, and literally when I tell y'all, he's been popping up everywhere. He's been popping up everywhere. Like, I started seeing him, like, the first time I saw him was at this temple, and I didn't know it was him. I knew nothing about him. I didn't even really know this area, and I just felt super drawn. I was like, oh, because even that first time, Angie was with me. Y'all know Angie did a vlog when she came to Thailand. We linked up for a little bit, had an amazing time, randomly went to this area. I had never been there before, saw this temple. We both just kind of sat there for a while and just watched. And he was popping up in different ways. Like, even the lady who owns the art studio that I go and do, basically I do like artistic nude modeling for the drawing class, sometimes for the painting class as well too. She is a devotee of Ganesha, and so one day she was telling me about her experience. She basically studied Reiki, and her last Reiki session, when she was doing her initiation, she did like this really long meditation, and she connected with Ganesha, and she was telling me what that experience was like for her, which was very interesting. So he's been popping up in different places. And then I paid for this reading from one of my spiritual advisors, and I'm not gonna, like, it's not that she's not accurate, because the first reading I did with her, I felt like was spot on. But see, this to me is a reminder and a confirmation that you must also go within for what you are seeking. Like, yes, there's outside energy that you can consult with, but at the same time, like, going within is king, basically. Like, going within, your higher self already has the answers, has the things. So there is nothing outside of yourself that is going to be able to tell you about yourself better than you. You know, the only discrepancy that comes sometimes is like if you're not fully, you know, aligned, or if you don't have a full open line of communication with your higher self that way. Sometimes it gets a little, like, the line of communication may get a little muffled if you don't really have that type of communication set up. So that's why you have to actively, you know, release what is resisting that communication, and, you know, building that line of communication so you can actually hear the messages, and you can actually, you know. So I remember doing a reading with her the first time, and then I also think, let me put this little sidebar in there, I also believe that we also have to be careful when we're going outside of ourselves. Like, not saying that spirit doesn't speak in different ways outside of us, because spirit does. However, I believe that when you are going outside of yourself, I feel like sometimes when people use tarot readers or spiritual advisors, sometimes they take their word more than their own inner guidance. Like, they value it more than their own inner guidance, and they take it as like the end all be all. And I just don't believe that that is how it should be. You know what I mean? Like, this person is a human just as you. Like, we are all multidimensional beings walking a human experience. So you know, like, we are the same, you know. So what one person has to say does not trump your inner guidance, is what I want to make clear. So this time I did a reading with her, and honestly, she's going through a lot right now in her life, so this might also be part of it. And then two, when it comes to guidance that you receive outside of yourself, there is no timeline. Like, spirit doesn't move on a timeline. So what someone may see or feel called to tell you about your life doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen in the timeline that you think. And so we were talking, and some of the things that she brought to light kind of happened a little bit differently. But there's also free will, you know? So this probably also was playing into my fear of or just, I'm not even gonna say it was fear, it's just like spiritually connecting with Ganesha just felt like, I just felt like take a pause, you know? Like I just felt like take a pause. Like I felt more so like, you know, allow the information that wants to come without forcing it, without trying to control it, without trying to seek it out. Allow it to come naturally. Like that's just how I ultimately ended up feeling. But based off of what she felt, because I did talk to her a little bit about it, and she basically was like, she felt a strong warrior energy from Ganesha, and that he wanted to connect with me to slay some things that have been blocking me. But again, she was also feeling like some urgency for me to connect with him. But that was her feelings, and that wasn't my feelings. Like, because when I was really digging deep about it, I was like, but I'm not Hindu though, you know? And I don't want to be playing around with somebody's spirituality or religion, and I'm not fully aware of it, you know? I don't know what I'm, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So I just really felt spiritually led to sit back and let my spiritual guidance lead me, and that led me to chill the fuck out and just sit outside the temple sometimes. So basically I walked back, I sat outside this temple, and what came to my mind was to call my Aunt Tommy. So I left, because I feel like once I got, like, I feel like that walk back, it was like a very low walk. And then I feel like, who that is? All these little, I feel like my walk back was kind of like sadder than the initial walk. And God, all the notifications. And when I was sitting at the temple, I was just watching the people, and I was just chilling, and then the thought came to my mind, because I do feel like spirit communicates sometimes with me through thoughts. So things that I wasn't even thinking about just will pop in my head, and I'll just listen. And the thought that popped in my head was like, I need to call my Aunt Tommy. So my Aunt Tommy, she's not blood related to me. She actually used to date my dad, and she was very close with my grandmother. And apparently, I believe my inner child really loves her, because I do often feel very drawn to her. And when I first like reconnected with her, she came to my going away dinner. She came to my going away dinner, and I feel like my inner child was very excited. I feel like every time I see her, my inner child recognizes her, because my remembers the encounters that she has had with her, even though I don't remember now, you know what I mean, because it's been so long. So like sometimes she'll tell me about different things that used to happen, because her and my grandmother were really close, and I just kind of, you know, like my heart kind of smiles a bit, even though I don't remember. I'm like, my inner child do though, you know. And her and my grandmother were very, 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 very close. My grandmother, I believe, actually wanted her to marry my dad, but my dad was on that bullshit, so she was like, no, this ain't what the fuck is about to happen. And I'm so grateful for her. Like, even after that conversation, I was so grateful. This is how this topic came about, because I just feel so grateful for her, because she remembers my grandmother in a way that I don't. And she is like that connector piece between, she's like my living connecting piece between me and my grandmother. Even though I love my grandmother so much, and even sometimes I wish that she was still here, I definitely feel like she's on the spirit side, pulling everything together, making sure everything comes as it should for me, and protecting me, and just, guiding me. However, it's great to talk to someone who knows, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of times with family, things get lost. Elders get stuck in their ways. They want things to remain in the past. They don't want to share, like specifically with my dad. Y'all know, like trying to have a conversation with him, trying to talk with him, trying to heal some things with him. He's not really open to that. But I have someone who is, who can tell me, okay, this is what was happening during that time. Who can basically shed light on areas that I wasn't aware of. And also just realizing, like, she comes from a very similar background as me, like, not that she wasn't in CPS, but she was pretty much abandoned by her mom and her dad as well. So in terms of transmuting that energy, in terms of forgiving her parents, in terms of unblocking herself, in terms of, getting to the life that she's living now, where she is living the way that she desires, with stability, with love, with freedom. It's like a confirmation of, like, it's possible. And then, I know sometimes for me, I'm very much like a blueprint type of person, you know what I mean? Like, providing blueprints for others, but also seeking blueprints to figure out how to do my own thing or how to overcome things. So I feel like low-key, after I had this conversation, I was like, oh my gosh, she's like low-key a blueprint for me, of like seeing someone who has walked my journey in a different way and seeing that they overcame, so it's possible for me too as well. Because I had, like, this past full moon, this past retrograde, I was feeling so tired. I was feeling so just defeated and so just like, ugh, I'm exhausted, spirit. Like, I am tired of this. But like, I'm ready for the shift, So we were talking, and a couple of things popped up, because I just basically was telling her everything. Like, I want to say we talked for hours. And I was telling her everything that's been popping off, and she basically gave me a bunch of affirmations that she actually used. Well, one in particular is about what you're releasing and then what you are receiving. So, like, I'm releasing resistance. I'm releasing resistance. I'm releasing worry. I'm releasing depression. I'm releasing poverty. I'm releasing enviousness. I'm releasing jealousy. I'm releasing lack. Like, all these different things to be released. And then what are you receiving? I'm receiving worthiness. I'm receiving love. I'm receiving gratitude. I'm receiving thankfulness, So adjust as you see fit, okay? And then she shared this guided meditation with me. She shared a bunch of spiritual things with me that I feel like was needed. So I feel like, in a way, Ganesha had came through when I was sitting at that temple and was like, nah, you need to call your auntie, because she got some information that's going to help you. And then when we talked, I was also sharing with her just the fact that, like, since January, Spirit has been telling me that I need to forgive my father. I need to forgive my parents, because I definitely hadn't forgiven them. That's how last week's video came about, of like, have you forgiven your parents, and realizing, like, in all honesty, I haven't. And in all honesty, I'm realizing that without forgiving them, it's not hurting them, it's hurting me. It's like I'm holding on to these things of what they should do and what they could have done and how they didn't protect me and all these things, and it's not helping me get to where I desire to be, and I have to release it and let it go. And she shines some light, girl. Ooh, she shines some light. She shines some light on me. Like, I already was realizing that my dad was not who I thought he was as a child. Like, I believe that in my childhood, I put my dad on a pedestal. I did. I didn't see him as he truly was. And from the second time I came, nah, that was like the first time I came home, I started to see him in a different light, you know? Like from the moment of me messaging him to have a conversation and him ignoring me, that I was like, this is not who I thought he was. And then I had a fish fry at one point when I went home. I invited this girl. I didn't know her. I met her through Instagram. But low-key, sis was flirting with my daddy, y'all. And just kind of watching that interaction, something in my spirit felt like, I don't know him. Who is he? And what is this? This is a different side, you know? And just kind of taking note. And then talking to my Aunt Tommy recently, because my Aunt Tommy used to date my dad, y'all. She used to date him. And she was telling me a little bit about her dating experience with him. And apparently she was dating him. My dad was dating her, my mom, and who knows who else at the same time. And what I realized through this conversation is that my dad was and is a fuckboy. And I remember in January when remember I told y'all I did this ritual to Oshun and my ancestors, and I was doing some mirror work. I did like a 5-day ritual. This is my first time doing such a long ritual. Like I've never done like more than a day ritual. And honey, I just want to warn you right now, prepare yourself when you get ready to do a ritual. You need to be resting beforehand, because your sleep pattern gonna be off. And I was tired, okay? Like I was so tired. I was so tired during this, like by day 3, I was so tired. And basically I was doing some mirror exercises that came to me spiritually to do during this ritual. And it basically is a way to speak with your higher self. Sometimes with this ritual, a spirit will come through, like your ancestor or your angel. Like it just depends on what needs to be heard at that time. However, I feel like my grandmother came through. And because I just remember asking my spirit, I asked my higher self, I said, what is blocking me? Like, what is blocking me right now? And what came up was that my parents, like the feeling that I have towards my parents is blocking me, because it's like I'm holding on to, you know, this hope that they are going to show up for me in a way that they have not been able to show up for me in the last 30 years. You know, it's like they ain't never been able to show up for me like that, and they not gonna show up for me like that, and they're not gonna be able to give me what spirit is about to position me to give myself. So I gotta let it go, you know, like let those expectations go of their parental duties. I have to release them, you know, it is time. And then I remember something saying to forgive my father. He was doing his best. I feel like that was my grandmother, like that's his mother, you know what I mean? And I feel like she's very much with me. My Aunt Tommy actually gave me a picture of her that I actually travel with, and I cried when I got this photo. And I feel like she's been with me, and she's just been like popping up in different ways with this confirmation of like, forgive him, he didn't know. Forgive him, he knows not what he does, basically. And even though I started the forgiveness process, things didn't really make sense until I had this conversation with my Aunt Tommy. Like, I had this conversation with her, and something clicked in me. It was like, damn, that makes sense. He's a fuckboy. He doesn't know how to treat women. Like, he didn't even know how to treat his own mother. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he is a womanizer. So how could I expect him to know how to treat a daughter. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't. He's not equipped. He's not equipped with how to treat women. And I'm not sure where that came from. I have some questions about his own relationship with his father that haven't quite surfaced yet, but I know that they will. I know that I'm very confident that they gonna show up. However, it was like a clicking after that conversation of like, this is why. This is why when I would call him, like, cause I remember when I was in Vietnam, I filmed a video of myself when I was like, you know, I was doing some diary type vlog type videos that y'all haven't seen, and I still don't know if y'all gonna see them. But basically, I remember kind of just having a bit of a breakdown and kind of crying and just kind of like, you know, realizing that like I was struggling with relationships with the counterparts because of my relationship with my dad, and like some underlying feelings that I was having about him protecting me and him showing up for me. Especially like, you know, there was times when like I would be with my mom and my mom was like being abusive to me, and I would sneak and like call him and, you know, beg him to come and get me and come save me, and he wouldn't come. Like, he would tell me some shit to sound good, like, you know, like a fuckboy would. They'd tell a woman, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do, but then do what the fuck they wanna do. Like, he did the same shit to me. He did the same shit to me. He wasn't equipped to do anything else. He did the best that he knew how. And it's like coming to the realization that I have to come to terms with who he really is, not who I want him to be, and forgive him and release. I forgive him and I release any resistance towards that forgiveness, is what I've been telling myself, because I know that this is a process, but I am ready at this point. I believe I'm ready to let it go. And I'm actually gonna write him a letter. I feel like I'm about to get back into letter writing, which I believe is also going to help me heal my discomfort with my script abilities, because I used to be a writer. When I was younger, I used to write for fun. And now, since I went through CPS, moved around so much, kind of fell out of love with the school system and shit like that, I stopped liking to write. Like, it started to be like something that became like an issue, you know, or like a, I don't feel like doing this shit, you know. But I recognize that even no matter how long it takes me to write something, by the time I actually get it out, or get out what I want to say, or get the words in a way that I want them to be, they always sound good. Like, I can make some shit sound good. And so I just feel like some kind of way I fell out of love with writing, and I believe that by writing letters, because writing letters has popped up in a couple of different ways, that spirit is telling me to start writing letters to the people that I love, or even to, like, you know, specifically with my dad. I tried to do the whole go direct to him, let's have this conversation. He ain't ready for that, nor is he open for that. And me coming to the realization, like, that's not what I expected. I was angry. I let it go. It's okay. You don't want to talk. That's fine. But I am going to send you a letter. So I will be sending him a letter, and just going from there. And then I was realizing, like, sending my grandmother some letters too, with, like, to keep her updated, because I realized this call shit ain't for me. Like, you know, keeping in contact with my loved ones by call, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it takes a lot of energy, and it doesn't always feel genuine to me, and sometimes it feels rushed, and sometimes I just don't want to be fucking with these phones. Like, sometimes I don't want to have to, like, I just feel like it's like it doesn't feel good to me to just say I'm gonna call you every week just because you want me to check in. But what do I want? I don't necessarily want that shit. But I feel like writing a letter to my grandmother will be better, and I believe that it'll help shine some light for her on who I am, and as well on, like, building a closer relationship with each other. Plus, I think it'll be just great to, like, share my journey with her in that way, and, like, send her photos and things like that. So I'm gonna get back into the letter writing. But basically, I was talking about all these things with my auntie. I was realizing all these things with my auntie. And then before I got off the phone with her, I was telling her about what's been happening school-wise, about just how I haven't done shit. Like the first 2 weeks of class, I turned everything in. After that, I haven't turned shit in. And so I was telling her how I was feeling, and she was like, "It's because you're depressed." And she was like, "Yeah, when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything." And y'all, I kind like she said this, and I kind of like stopped in my tracks, right? Like I just was like, have I been depressed this whole damn time and didn't realize it? You know, like when I left Vietnam, I knew I was depressed. Like I knew I wasn't feeling the best. And even like just thinking about it, it was like, I don't know if I can't really say for certain, but I feel like I was depressed in the beginning of my travels too, y'all. Like I know at one point, I remember making that video about traveling with depression, and I believe I was in Malaysia at that point, but that was like before I came to Vietnam. However, I feel like I was depressed way before that. Like I feel like I was depressed way before my travels, and I didn't realize it. But you know, this is the great thing about traveling, especially if you're traveling solo. Especially if you're traveling solo for an extended period of time. I feel like if you're traveling solo for just like a week, few weeks, and then you're going back to your reality, it's like things are happening so fast that you don't really have a moment to stop and reflect and process. But when you're traveling long term for like some years, it's like people getting confused because they think, oh, it's just all these highlights all the time. And even sometimes when you're traveling solo for a small period of time, like sometimes people travel solo for like a week and not have like a lot of highlights. Sometimes like I just really want people to release this thought that like life is always great when you're traveling, because that is not true. Like shit pops up all the time, unexpected things happen, flights get missed, there's delays, there's adjustments, there's change. I just believe that travel makes you face yourself, and it makes you release control. It makes you release control, because I mean, if you're traveling, it's like you just have to figure out what it is in that moment. Like if you miss the flight, or if something pops up, I can't even think of an example right now, but all kind of shit pops up as you're traveling, and you just have to go with the flow at that moment and figure out, okay, this is what's happening at this moment, what can I do to make it better, type of setup, you know. And literally I just feel like I've been depressed for a while. I feel like with this conversation with her, where she said that, because I honestly, I didn't feel like I was depressed in 2019. I really didn't. Like I do feel like I didn't edit any videos. Did I do the best in all of my schoolwork? Not really. I was doing a lot of reflecting. I was doing a lot of healing. I was moving forward in some spiritual ways, but I didn't feel depressed. I was like, was I depressed? I might have been, you know? I might have been. And even just like reflecting on this moment, I didn't necessarily feel depressed in the beginning of the year. Like until February, I felt depressed. Like February, I felt depressed in February. Like February was really a character building month for me. Like it was a lot of shit popping off on an energetic level, and I just was like, spirit, what is this? And I feel like sometimes, especially with people who come from particular backgrounds that are based in survival and lack, I believe that sometimes because of that, because we have grown up in these survival type of environments, sometimes we do have a hard time realizing that, or just not even realizing, or just making the realization from survival and not survive. You know, survival and being in flow or in chill, or I don't even know the counter word to fully depict this, but like being in survival and not being in survival. And then also it's like being in survival, it's like depression is mixed in there. So sometimes depression is masked. Like it's like we're dealing with it on a day-to-day basis, but it's masked. You know what I mean? So it's like harder to identify that, like, okay, I'm depressed, you know, or I'm walking around trying to persevere and not really acknowledging the fact that I'm depressed. Something is not right. Something doesn't feel right. I don't feel right. What do I need to do to fix it? You know what I mean? It's like if you don't even realize that you're depressed, how can you even begin to heal or do what is needed so that you can heal? You know what I mean? So that was kind of like an aha moment for me, because I didn't associate the fact that like not wanting to do things was a form of like realizing that I was depressed. Because literally, when I tell y'all, I have been trying to do this homework. I really have. I truly, truly, truly have. Like, it's been days that were like, okay, this is the day I'm doing homework. I'm sitting in front of, it was even days where I was sitting in front of the computer trying to write these papers, and it just was not happening. Couple that with, I realized like, I have anxiety around writing. You know, like my background with writing and just how I went through the school system, and just having that disconnect from once being a lover of writing to now having to learn how to love writing again. Because I do feel like on a spiritual tip, I believe I'm a script. But it just, something happened in my childhood that really was, that disconnected me from that skill. And now it's like spirit is calling me to heal whatever was disconnected and get back into writing, because I have some shit to say. You know, I have some shit to say. I have some things to share. I have things that need to be heard, need to be read, need to be shared. And so it's like spirit is really working on my communication on all sides, like verbally and in written form. So that was basically, it was an aha moment. I was like, damn. And then this is why I feel like this morning as I was processing, because I literally was like using the toilet and I was like, oh shit, this is why I need to be more kind with myself in the editing process, because I just was feeling like, damn, I'm not putting out no videos. But I feel like because I've been unknowingly depressed, this is also why I haven't been able to edit. Like, a lot of the things that I love to do, or that I would normally do, just have come to a halt. Like, real shit. Like, editing has come to a halt. I ain't been editing shit. Homework has come to a halt. But I'm gonna have to pull that shit together. Like, real shit. I literally am about to message my advisor when I get off of this message with y'all. And I kind of feel like also come on for spirit, because I feel like spirit just gave me a proper excuse to help me in my email. Because the first email I sent to them, I was very honest. I'm also gonna be very honest in this one too, but I'm gonna tell them like, look, I left my charger in Thailand, and I just found a lab, which all is true. So I'm sure they're gonna be even more willing. Like, they already were willing to help me, but I feel like they're even gonna be more willing. Like, okay, Courtney, I get it. So I feel like spirit kind of gave me a little excuse to tell them, but also kind of like some fire under me, because spirit know that I'm not gonna go spend some money at this computer lab and not work. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's gonna get done if I'm at this computer lab paying per hour. So shout out to spirit. Spirit already knew. Plus, after it's done, because I don't have my computer lab, I feel like the next couple of weeks I'm gonna be fucking chilling and really just focused on nature. But yeah, I feel like this is like I feel like the message in this is to really dig deep and realize if you're depressed or not, because I don't feel like I'm the only one who's dealing with this. Like, even just like over the last few weeks when I've been doing these lives, like, as I've told y'all before, I don't plan these, right? I don't write no script for these. What needs to be said just comes out of me. And even when it comes to the title, I don't do research to figure out what's the best keyworded title or anything like that. Like, literally, spirit will pop into my head with the title. Like, especially the last two videos, it was like I recognized it more consciously, but I know that it's been happening in some of the previous videos too. But it happened, like, I just remember how that popped up, of like being conscious of this past week and what was going on, and then that title just coming to my spirit, and I was like, oh, okay, spirit, that sounds good. Okay, that's what we gonna roll with, you know what I mean? So I know it's not just me. I know it's not just me who may have been feeling depressed or maybe in depression right now, because even now, y'all, I don't necessarily feel like I'm out of it. I definitely felt in the past, I was like, okay, I know I'm depressed. After Vietnam, I felt depressed, and then for some reason I'm not sure where, or I can't put it to a specific time, but I know I was feeling good. So I was feeling like, oh, because I'm feeling good, I'm out of depression. And I don't think I ever actually exited, you know, if that makes sense. And I feel like I'm honestly still healing. I'm honestly still working towards getting to my genuine happiness. And also just honoring the fact that we have a lot of emotions that pop up, and it's okay to not feel good all the time. I don't want it to be like a misunderstanding that if you're not feeling good all the time that you're depressed, because we have a lot of emotions that pop up, and it's okay to feel these emotions. I just feel like it goes deeper than that, and we have to be checking in with ourselves, and not only just looking at our emotions, but also looking at like what's happening around us. How are we existing in this world? Are we doing what we desire to do? Are we just shutting down in different ways? Because I feel like me not doing videos, me not doing homework, and I'm not even sure of what other, like, I have been feeling like a desire to disconnect from people. Like, I truly have, like, more, like, a lot recently. I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody, you know. I've been kind of in this space. So, ooh, a butterfly, a yellow butterfly. I saw a black butterfly yesterday, which is a very good good sign. So yeah, I feel like that's really the main message in this live. I want to share is basically, if you're not sure if you're depressed, if you used to be depressed and you think you're not depressed, like, really dig deeper, really do some exploring of yourself. Like, you know, what are you doing? What's happening in your day-to-day? Like, you know, because even in my day-to-day, I'm just thinking about, like, how I've been operating. Like, I haven't really been outdoors a lot since I've been in Thailand. Like, not actively, like, not how I would normally be, you know? Like, really having a moment to think about, in your normal vibe, what would you be doing? You know, versus what are you doing now? And how is that, like, what disparities do you see? You know what I mean? And are those disparities lining up with depression, or are those disparities lining up with the life that you desire? You know what I mean? Because I'm just thinking about, like, I've been thinking about, like, how I've been operating. Like, I know for a fact the last 5 months have been very persevering, and coming to February, that was highlighted even more. That was highlighted so much for me, and it was kind of like I got angry during that period too, because I was like, shit, I've been you know, like I was so upset with Spirit because it was like, you know, I've been having faith during all of this stuff that's been popping off the last 5 months. I ain't, you know, I ain't even been that, you know, like I've been having faith and moving forward and still working, still trying to figure it out, and now y'all hit me with this, like why, you know? And even that stuff just kind of goes a little bit deeper because I feel like when I was, something popped up. It's interesting how Spirit gives me messages. I saw a message that anything from March the 9th was karma. Okay? Anything from March the 9th, before March the 9th was karma. Anything before March the 9th was karma, okay? And just going within and thinking about like what were you struggling with in what were you struggling with in February? You know, because I really feel like January came in, but really shit didn't hit the fan until February. That second full moon, February 9th. Between then and that retrograde, a lot of shit hit the fan. So, what were you struggling with during that time? And if we realize that that was karma, what did you do to others that warranted this karma, right? So I was thinking about that this week, and I had a realization like, damn, this past period of time before March the 9th, and technically we're still a couple of days before March the 9th, but I feel like what I was struggling with, or what was most difficult for me, was finances. Like my money was caught up in places. It was like it was here, it had been deposited, but I couldn't access it. And then on relationships, in terms of relationships, a lot of people were removed. Like low key, y'all, 3 people blocked me. And I laugh because I know I'm also a blocker, okay? Like, I'm not gonna say I'm a blocker now. I think I'm a lot more conscious about if someone needs to be in my journey or not. But when I was younger, baby, I wouldn't ask no questions. I'm upset, you've hurt me, you've triggered me, you got to go, okay? And I don't operate in that way now. I you know, ask questions, I get to the root of what I'm feeling, and if that root leads to someone needs to be removed, then I honor that. But at the same time, you know, I face people now and tell them this is what has happened in this moment, this has hurt me, and I listen to their response. Like, are they trying to intentionally hurt me, or is it just a blind spot and they didn't realize, and they're willing to move forward and try not to do this again? You know what I mean? Like, it takes a little bit of deeper thinking, I believe, and I believe it takes a lot of growth in terms of learning how to communicate when there is conflict. Because I feel like a lot of people, I'm realizing, like, as I'm getting more equipped with dealing with conflict and learning how to communicate and express myself, but also how to understand what someone else is their point, you know, or just understanding how to communicate healthy and fluently in conflict. I'm realizing like a lot of people don't know how to communicate in conflict, and it's no type of standard. Like, there's no type of like standard that can ensure you that if a person is at a particular age or has a particular amount of kids or has done specific type of things, then they know how to communicate with conflict. Like, it don't matter how many kids you got, it don't matter how old you are, it don't matter what your degree level is, it does not matter, because a lot of people are walking in the various parts of life with various credentials in very different forms, and still struggle with communicating in conflict. And I believe that this whole pettiness in society has just gotten out of hand. This whole block culture has gotten out of hand. You know, instead of facing the conflict and actually communicating and getting to the bottom of it and healing, a lot of people are like, well, I'm just gonna be petty about it, or I'm just gonna, you know, and none of that is helping anybody. So am I upset that I have been blocked by 3 people? I am not. I am not upset. I realized Spirit needed to remove some people, but I still learned a lot. Like, I believe that Spirit is clearing out and making space for my soul family to come in. So I'm not upset at all. It didn't honestly bother me at all. But I still needed to acknowledge that 3 people blocked me, and we ain't even 3 months into the year, you know? And it's okay. And then on the other side of the finances, I started digging a little bit deeper. I was like, damn, I think this karma is coming in for the finances, because I don't believe, when I was younger, when I was moving in more survival mode, I wasn't moving in integrity, especially with finances. Like, I wasn't moving in integrity. So I believe that it's so powerful right now, because I made this realization. Like, it's some type of perspective shift that happened to even get me to this moment of like, whoa, I realize now that I wasn't moving in integrity financially as a younger person. I also forgive myself, because I also realized I was moving in survival mode, and I was doing what I was taught. And I was doing the best that I knew how to do at that moment. However, now that I know better, I know that, like, I am moving differently now, but at the same time, I believe that Spirit brought me this, because in some of those ways that I wasn't moving in integrity financially, I believe Spirit wants me to rectify those situations. You know what I mean? So all of that came to my mind. So I don't want to go too long. I know we did like a 6-hour live last week, and I'm not really at a place to do that today, because I really got to do this homework. I legit have like 4 or 5 papers to write, sis. And before I even jump into those papers, I need to do a bike ride around the city and just kind of like, zen myself out and prepare for those papers. But I just want to leave you basically with some tidbits. Like, one, in terms of depression, really digging deep to realize, like, are you depressed or not? Like, if you don't know that you're depressed, it's hard to even heal. So if you're here, if you're listening to this, I feel like this is like a little low-key, a little confirmation. You know what I mean? Like, dig deeper and see, like, how would you normally operate in your highest, and how are you operating now? Like, are you not interacting with people? Are you not doing the things that you normally would do? Are you shutting down from some of the activities that you would normally do? Are you finding it hard to get out of bed? Are you binge eating? Like, I realize even for me, sometimes, like, when I'm sad, I will eat a lot. Like, I will eat, like, even things that I know that I wouldn't normally eat. Like, I will just eat and eat all day. You know what I mean? Like, what is happening to you, and what is triggering you, and why are you feeling this way? And is it deeper? Like, is it like somebody has done something to you that makes you feel like something that has happened to you in your childhood that you were so scared of? Do you need some soul work? Do you need to reparent your inner child? Do you need to go in and start having some activities with your inner child? Like, this is all a part of getting to know thyself. I know society makes it seem like, when we focus on ourselves, we are selfish, and that shit is so far from the truth. Like, our longest relationship and most important relationship is with ourselves. We cannot be anything for anyone or pour into anyone if we don't take care of ourselves. Like, if we are not 100% 10 toes down for ourselves, it's like we half-ass in ourselves. So how can we be those things for anybody else? You know what I mean? Like, you can't. So I remember recently I just was like making this realization that don't nobody owe me shit. I owe myself everything. Don't nobody owe me nothing. And I think sometimes we struggle with that. We struggle with this idea of like, feeling sad because ain't nobody help us, feeling sad because we had to figure the shit out on our own, feeling sad because our parents didn't come through like they should have came through and gave us the tools that we needed to unlock the door to walk into spiritually. But the door is still there. We gonna get there. It's just like we gotta get our own selves there, and it's okay. Like, that's just the journey that we decided to walk in this lifetime, and we gonna make it through. It's fine, but it's just breaking that thought process that somebody gotta do something for us, parents included, or somebody owe us something. Don't nobody owe us shit. We owe ourselves everything. And then really digging deep, because I know I'm not the only one that's been going through shit during this full moon and this retrograde. So if you think about it in the fact that, like, everything that has transpired between February and early March was karma, dig deeper and think about what have you been dealing with, what have you been struggling with, and flip that shit around and think about your past and what have you done to other people in those, you know like, if you're dealing with financial issues, how were you not moving in integrity in the past financially? If you're dealing with relationship issues, how were you not moving in integrity in relationships in the past? If you're moving, and I can't even really think of any other struggles, but whatever the struggle is, or whatever issue has been highlighted over the last month or so, if you flip that and think of it as karma, like, I've done this to someone, this is why this is popping back up in my life, really try to address that. Really try to address, like, what have I done in the past to someone else that has been in a line that has been the same thing, And then think about how can you rectify that situation. For me personally, on the financial tip, I owe some people some money. Real shit. I owe some people some money, and moving forward, I'm going to be paying people some money. And relationship wise, I don't necessarily believe, I believe part of it is karma, because I believe it's partially karma because I know that I have blocked people, but at the same time, I believe it's spirit showing me that I can stand on my own 2 feet, because I feel like I've always kind of like wanted to be the baby of the group. I wanted to be taken care of, I wanted to be shown the ropes, and in that, sometimes I had forgot my own strength and my own capabilities, and I feel like spirit is just showing me, like, I don't need nobody in this bitch. Like, it's me and spirit in this hoe. Whatever helpers come during the process, that is a bonus, you know what I mean? That's like an extra little piece on the cake, but, like, that's not required nor needed. Me and spirit to the end, period. You know what I mean? Like that, like, I feel like the message in my relationships is that I'm really that great, and I really can follow through. I am capable, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like spirit has just been telling me, don't compromise yourself for these relationships, I feel like sometimes when you ain't never had sisters, or you ain't never had, people who you felt like loved you, and then you finally get them, sometimes you compromise yourself because you're like, well, damn, this is my first time having a sister, or this is my first time having, someone who understands me, so I don't want to make them mad. I want them to approve of me. I want them to love me, so I'm not gonna, do all these, I'm gonna silence what I feel, or I'm not gonna fully express myself, or I'm not gonna say what I truly believe is truth, because it might anger them, and then they might not want to be my sister no more, or they might not want to love me, or they might not want me anymore. Fuck all of that shit, okay? Like, if you can't speak your truth and they got a problem, they wasn't in alignment anyways. They wasn't meant to be there anyways. They wasn't your true soul family anyways. Okay? Like, the hood healer just said, fuck them bitches and press the gas, okay? That is where I'm at. Fuck, like, with all these people that have been blocking me, I'm like, fuck them bitches, press the gas. Like, I'm not even upset. I'm truly not. I'm like, Fuck them bitches and press the gases. Okay? You don't need nobody but you in spirit. But you in spirit. So, yes, that is it. That is all that I'm sharing today. And thank you for sending me so much love, and thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me this safe space to share my mental health with y'all, and just the things that I'm processing and my journey in such an intimate way with y'all. Like, I appreciate it so much, and I'm just so grateful to have this space. I actually am gonna, I feel like I've been going back and forth because I recorded an audio diary this past week. Yeah, it was like a couple of days ago. No, it was last week after the live. I recorded an audio diary that I believe I'm gonna upload for y'all today or tomorrow. There was a lot of gems in that because I had a couple of dreams and a couple of thoughts that I needed to address. So I'm gonna share that with y'all. So be on the lookout for that. But just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, just thank you. Yes, for all the healing, okay? Like, yes, for everything that we are transmuting, even the things that we're transmuting together, because I truly wholeheartedly believe that what I'm experiencing and what I'm being able to share with y'all is not just for me. I feel like a lot of y'all are also in your own transition, whether you're actually present with me now, watching the video, or coming back to the replay at whatever point in time. I believe that I'm providing us a blueprint, you know, like it's a blueprint that we gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. Hey, okay. So yeah, I'm about to go. Thank you so much. If you thumbs up this video, thank you so much. If you stayed here the whole time, thank you so much. If you come back even after, I know some of y'all, I know last week's video was like 5 hours, and some of y'all messaged that y'all had just been watching it over a couple of days. Thank you. I appreciate it. Anybody who checks in to see what's happening with me, to get the update, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for just all the well wishes and good energy sent to me. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I hope y'all got what resonates with you. I hope some things came to light, some perspective shifts came to light for you. And I just hope y'all have an amazing rest of your day. I'm gonna have an amazing day. I feel like I'm gonna take a nap first, then do a bike ride, then go do some homework. So thank you for joining me. As always, remember, people will stare, make it worth their while, and I'll see y'all next week. All right, bye y'all. Oh shit, wait a minute. Okay, wait, before I go, because I just realized that it's a whole bunch of comments up in here that I did not get. I ain't seen none of this popped up. So let me answer these comments first, and then I'm gonna go. Mari said, what's your favorite country? Malaysia and Brazil so far. Check last week's video to see why. Meme says, I feel the spirit, nothing but good vibes coming from this live stream. I'm so glad that you do. Yes, yes, yes. Guinness Guy says, I've been to Golden Triangles. Laos is beautiful. I've heard about the Golden Triangles. I just heard about this recently. I feel like I'm hitting all these places. Like, I literally have 3 weeks, so we're gonna see what pops off. Mara says, sometimes helping giving can be draining. Yes, I think that was in response to my possibly going to this temple to volunteer. See, all of this was a little bit, helping and giving can be draining, but I believe that this is why you need to make sure that your energy is where it needs to be. This is why you have to make sure that you're in the space that you need to be. You know what I mean? Like, this is why you have to take care of yourself. Because I do feel like sometimes people be like, I'm just going to give. But it's like, what is that? Where is that really coming from? Like, is that coming from a deep spiritual desire to give something because your spirit felt led to, or is that coming because from some like approval space or some space to people please or something low vibrational to make you feel good about yourself? You know, like you really got to decipher that. And I agree, this is why, you know, in terms of volunteering at like a temple, I was having some reservations and I'm like, what is this environment really gonna be like? But I'm willing to give 7 days and I'll make sure that I'm on where I need to be beforehand. Excuse me. Guinness guy says, do you take a bus, train, or plane for the visa runs? A lot of times I've taken buses. This time I took a train and a bus because I had to take a train from Bangkok to Ubon Ratchathani. Then I took like a 2-hour bus from Ubon Ratchathani to, well, it was a van from Ubon Ratchathani to the border. But honestly, my ideal way to travel is by train. I love taking the train. It's a lot comfortable. You want to get the lower berth. So if you're doing an overnight train, you have like window access and a really nice comfortable bed. But it's always cheap too. Like the train, the prices don't go up or down like a flight, you know? Like if you book a train, I booked the train the day of, and my train was like 20 some dollars. I think it was 20 some dollars. It was 741 baht. Y'all have to do the currency exchange. I believe that's like $25 USD. But basically, the train doesn't fluctuate. It's just sometimes depending on if it's a holiday, the train, you might want to book it a couple of days in advance so you can get the seat that you want. But like a flight, girl, if you trying to book a flight like a day before, you know that hoe gonna be high. So yeah, I like taking trains. It's my favorite. Hey sis, Tier, hey, what's up? Who that chick behind you, girl? This is this is one of somebody who's staying in the hostel. It's a bunch of people up in here. Terry says, Tiara says, what's your master's in? It is in mass communication. My phone is about to die, so let me hurry. Hey, Tay, are you going to another 6-hour session? That last one was a boss, baby. No, we're about to hop up out of here now. Thrifty, hey. Guinness guy, I had to release my father because I was holding on to a lot of things. Yeah, I'm still releasing him for now, but I am forgiving him and I am going to write him a proper lesson. Anna, hey. Emily, hey. Allison, hey. Emily says, I'm at work, but we'll watch the rest later. Okay, boo. Nothing but love. All right. I got nothing but love for you, baby. All right, that was all the comments, y'all. And literally, my battery is about to die, and we don't want this hoe to die without being able to properly end this. So thank you for all the comments. Thank you as well for being so patient, because I literally saw none of them until like that moment. So yeah, I will see y'all next week. Remember, people will stare, make it worth their while. Ciao.